On June 3rd, a nationwide strike by union workers in Nigeria brought air travel to a standstill. Healthcare services were severely impacted and the country was plunged into darkness after workers reportedly shut down the country's power supply. The unions were demanding an increase in the minimum wage and many blamed failed negotiations on President Bola Tinubu's controversial spending of public funds. In late February, the same union workers led a nationwide strike over soaring inflation and growing economic pain in the West African country. Workers were angered by the scrapping of fuel subsidies as well as the unification of the country's multiple exchange rate, which devalued the naira against the US dollar and doubled fuel prices. Both protests were called off after agreements between the union and the government were reached. In June 2023, hundreds of trade unionists staged a sit-in in the street of Casablanca in western Morocco despite a ban on demonstrations. Protesters were angered by soaring food prices, which mainly affected the poorest households. In early March this year, thousands of Tunisians protested outside the Prime Minister's office. They were tired of worsening living standards, an unemployment rate of 16.4%, an economy that was at a standstill, and shortages of basic foodstuffs. In 2022, Ugandan police arrested dozens of protesters demanding an end to the rising cost of living. They were angered by the doubling of fuel prices and demanded the government to subsidize basic food items. At the time, the country was still reeling from the COVID-19 pandemic and was also suffering from the effects of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, which pushed up energy and food prices globally. And roughly 2 weeks ago, residents of Bor in South Sudan's Jonglei state took to the streets, demanding action against the rising cost of living. They were also aggrieved by delayed salaries of civil servants and over high taxation of small businesses. And with the cost of living dominating global headlines, many African citizens are demanding that their governments come to their rescue. Caroline B., CGTN.